Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Sorry, maybe I was a bit too loud in the intro. And I should be the one monitoring the audio because somebody left their headphones at work.
It's so weird to not be with the headphones actually and hearing myself feedback. I don't know. I hope you guys can hear me well.
Yeah, I'm going to keep monitoring your audio so you don't start screaming at some point. Hey everybody, hope you are doing well. Welcome back to episode 22 of Constant Agitation. If this is your first time, welcome as well. We hope you enjoy the show. How are you doing, Eva? How was your week?
It was busy, actually. Yeah. I wanted to have more time for photo things, creative photo things, let's just call it like that, because I did a couple of assignments, but a lot of other work as well. So I'm really looking forward for mid-June where things start slowing down and there's a lot of light outside, so we can go out and shoot much more and do some cool stuff. Yeah. Although we managed to do some cool stuff today.
We got super excited. It's been cloudy for the last couple of days. I mean, we thought summer is here, but then boom, a lot of rain and clouds. And then as we were preparing for the episode, when we were supposed to be preparing for the episode to go live, we noticed that the sun came out for a second, and I just looked at Eva and I was like, hey, you want to try some cyanotypes?
Right now, right here.
She didn't even think about it. She just ran and started doing it. So was this one our first try?
That was the first try.
All right. So obviously we did not succeed. These are two 4x5 pictures.
Actually, now it looks better than when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, I think as it dries, it will get better. But this is the first one.
Put it closer to your face so it's focused somewhat.
I mean, I don't think it's going to make so much difference. Right? So this is the first one.
5 minutes exposure with bright sun. Yeah. Not enough.
And you used different papers, didn't you?
I did use different papers. So for everyone out there that doesn't know yet, I like watercolor painting. So I have a lot of different papers. I'm kind of a hoarder of materials. I love it. I think I have 100 paints. I counted the other day, 100 different colors. And I have maybe 10 different paper stocks. So I also decided to do some testing and try different papers. So I use some with no cotton in them, some with 25% cotton, different kind of grain on the surface. I assume the absorbency is also different. Yeah. And these three
these two were exposed at the same time.
Yeah.
You can see the difference. This one came out better, more dense. But the other thing we were doing is a lot of you were going to yell at us if you're more strict about your process. We used an IKEA frame as a printer, which is a big no-no.
The plastic contact frame, yeah.
Yeah. The plastic was bendy. It was not made of glass, so it was bending. And that's why I think this one came out of focus. Like there's barely any detail.
I look like a ghost.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool though.
Yeah, this is a photo of Eva.
Yeah, and you can see the bottom is more focused. So I think in the bottom it was more like touching the paper to the 4x5 negative, and on the middle ground it was just like not touching at all. And
yeah, this one came out.
I did a very good and sharp mask though.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I mean, you can't technically use it because it's paper.
I know, but.
Yeah, hi everybody in the chat. Welcome. Hey Devin. I think is Devin first time here? Welcome.
Yes.
So what else do we have? Do we add a couple of questions?
We did, yeah.
So let me see. We have from Agustin, I think.
Agustin.
That's how you say it. Why is it called Crunchy Fingers? Well, I don't know. I don't know. Why is it called Crunchy
Did you
Fingers?
forget already?
I
We are
mean,
not even 1 year old.
right.
No.
So the whole thing came like this whole channel came together in like 2 days, right?
One long night, I would say,
Yeah,
almost.
just started the account before we even shot the first video.
Yeah, definitely.
And we just wanted to get a name so we can get an email address and all that stuff and an Instagram account.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a few of them. It was like crispy fingers, crispy frames.
I mean, okay,
we
so
had a bunch of ideas. They all revolved around
using
like,
your hands,
using
basically.
your hands.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, even though now our channel is mainly focused on photography, if you go back in the archives on the earlier videos, you are gonna find videos of me painting as well. And the idea is that maybe the channel could be like a creative place for us to show things that we like doing, which mostly involve hands, like photography, analog photography, painting. You also like music and playing instruments and stuff like that. So it was more like, okay, let's try to find a catchy name that it kind of evokes tinkering. Remember, we were thinking about the tinkering word for a little while as well.
I mean, some stuff are still coming, like the 8-hour stream, the infamous 8-hour stream of me struggling with these instax. So the idea is to do more of those. So I think that's the philosophy behind the name, I guess.
Yeah. So just like, use your hands and
do creative stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep it crunchy.
Keep it crunchy. Yeah, actually, it's kind of catchy, I would say.
I like
it. It's the crunchy fingers, and you all are the crunch. Our crunch.
And I mean, we're both goofy and silly in a way. Like we don't take ourselves too seriously. So I think a goofy, silly name is also fits our personality.
Right. Yeah. We get the question quite a lot. Why crunchy fingers?
Yeah.
I think Constant Agitation is quite clear, though. The name of the podcast.
If you know what's up. Yeah. All right, but we did get another question.
A bit more complicated.
More on topic.
Yeah.
And it was by Al Walid. I know it's Al Walid because he joins us in the chat usually with the name, but I can't read Farben
Wickler. Farben Wickler.
Yeah, so you can see it. By the way, all of the people who I like to leave the Instagram handle.
Yeah.
So you can follow them, check out their work. They are also your friends from the show.
Exactly.
So Al Walid needs help to calculate reciprocity failure, especially for Pinhole. And so disclaimer, usually when we ask for questions, and I said this before on the podcast, we're not claiming that we're expert on everything photography.
Yeah.
Actually, we like to leave the questions open because we might get asked about stuff that we haven't tried or we haven't learned about. And so we go and maybe do some research. And there's a lot of people here who know a lot of things that we don't know in the chat. A lot of time, CM, I'm looking at you. They join us, like they let us know stuff that we missed or we didn't know about. So it's like an open community. It's a live conversation for everybody who's,
we're
here.
basically your hosts, but we're here for you too. So.
Exactly. So Eva, actually, I didn't do much. Eva did some reading about this. Because I personally haven't experienced with Pinhole before. Have you?
I did a couple of things back in the days when I started, and I was attracted by lomography. But and it was just about getting the concept of what photography is. And I did a couple of workshops here at Uppsala in my nation, and there was a guy that was teaching pinhole photography, but I was like maybe 10 years ago. It's a really long time.
Nation is like a university thing. It's kind of like a
fraternity type of thing in America, but here in Uppsala they are 13 nations and they do activities, and we had a photography group in one of them, and that's where we also had a dark room, and I was able to learn and then later to teach there. It's really nice community.
Cool. So tell us about reciprocity and Pinhole.
Yeah, so first Pinhole, just in case someone out there has not tried and doesn't know what it is, pinhole photography is basically a photograph that is done through a very, very, very small hole. So the light that is going to expose your film goes through a very small aperture, right? So imagine very big aperture numbers. So the first thing that is needed to calculate exposure is to know how big or small, how small your pin is, in order to calculate how much time you have to leave the exposure towards the sun or wherever you're taking the photo, right? So the first thing is calculating that F number. the normal f numbers, aperture numbers that you guys are probably used to, f 1.8, 2, 5.4, 5.6, 16, 22, 32, some large formats, even 45 or 68 or something like that. But we're talking much bigger numbers because they're very small. Normally you do this, you can actually do a pinhole camera at home. They're very, very cool DIY process where you just basically use a pin like from sewing, and then you use that on the material to make the hole. So to calculate the f number, what you have to do is to measure the distance, the focal length basically of your lens, even though you might not have a lens as we know a lens.
So let's imagine a box.
Yeah.
The front of the box where you put the pin, that we call that the front standard.
Yeah.
And the back side where you have your film or your sensitive material, that's the back standard. So you want to calculate the distance between the two standards, am I right?
Exactly.
All right, so this is your focal length.
So yeah, once you have your focal length, let's say, I don't know, 10 centimeters, right? Let's say, like, that's 100 millimeters.
Right.
Then you have to know how wide the diameter of your pin, which sometimes can be tricky because they're very small.
So you can use something like a caliper.
Like caliper, or if you actually know, like for sewing needles.
They have sizes.
Yeah, they have sizes, and the sizes, they represent that certain amount of millimeters. So
Right.
I don't know, 0.4 millimeters, 0.6 millimeters, whatever it is. Try to find or estimate how big your hole is. And then you divide your focal length in millimeters by your pinhole diameter in millimeters, and that should give you a number. And you're showing there the page that we found is really nicely described of how you go about this calculation.
Yeah, I left both pages. This one I'm not sure who is it by. This one is by one of our favorite YouTubers, Shoot Film Like a Boss. If you don't know that channel, go check it out. A lot of cool stuff happening. So you can check both of these pages out and find all the information. Here is
and some of the numbers and examples.
Yeah, this one is where you were describing how to calculate
your
the
F number.
The
first.
F number.
Yeah.
All right, so we
that's
calculated
the F number. And then to calculate exposure, people would normally use a light meter. But light meters don't go as high as the F numbers that you're gonna get for your lens, right? Like the example that they're giving here is an F
150.
250, F 250, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have a light meter that will do that.
No.
So what you would do is to use your light meter with your highest aperture, for example, F22 or F32,
64, 128,
whatever it is. And then what you do is to, let me see if I can see here. So you would divide your real focal length divided by the focal length that you are using your light meter at, that you're measuring with.
Okay.
And then that divided a square, that will give you a number.
Wait, what is squared?
Like a square, like to the power of 2.
Which number? The result?
Yeah, the result.
Okay, so here, I can see it.
Yeah.
So for example, here, they calculated the f-stop to be 250.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your aperture.
The
pinhole.
Yeah, pinhole.
And then they metered for f22.
Yes.
So they divided 250 by 22.
And then to the power
of 2. And then the whole thing is squared.
Yes.
All
and
right.
that gives you a number.
So that's our f is f129. Or?
No, not f.
Okay.
That's a number.
It's a number.
It's a factor that you use to then calculate how much more exposure you need to do
than
the one you get on your light meter.
And how do I do that?
You just multiply. So let's say that the light meter at f22 for whatever light there is available and the speed of your film, it tells you 1/60th of a second.
So I multiply by...
then it's 129 times 1/60th of a second.
Okay.
So the extension of the exposure that you have to do.
All right. And I think that's what's demonstrated here on the table?
Yeah. So that is the adjustment. So it says, for example, for f22, imagine that you get 1/25th. Then for adjustment to an f250, then it would be 1 second.
All right.
For that specific case, but you have to know the f of your camera, of your pinhole camera, and the f that you are measuring at, and then you can calculate that factor, and then you can multiply the exposure and get the right exposure.
Multiply the shutter speed.
The exposure time. Yeah.
Right.
And that's the first step, right? Now what you're calculating with this is the exposure time that you need for that
regardless of reciprocity.
Regardless of reciprocity.
Right.
But then we go into the problem of reciprocity, obviously, which is the longest you expose as light-sensitive material, the less sensitive becomes to the light. So it's not a linear relationship between time and exposure. The longer time, then you need even more time to get the right exposure.
All right.
That's what is called the reciprocity failure.
So the film, the more it is exposed to light, the less sensitive it becomes.
Yes.
It's like as time passes during the exposure, the ISO goes down.
Yes.
Is a good way to think about it.
Think about it, yeah.
Okay.
And that means that you have to account for that reciprocity. And that reciprocity is going to change depending on how long have you already exposed, right? So normally, this reciprocity value is going to be different depending on the film you're using, because it's a property inherent to the emulsion that you're using in your film.
For example, I hear that Ektachrome 100 has brilliant reciprocity. It doesn't fail.
Yeah, that means that it's very resistant to these changes in sensitivity over time. Yeah.
There's a guy on Instagram who does Jasse.
Yeah.
He does long astrophotography on Ektachrome.
Yeah.
And I think another film he uses is Ektar.
And I think Belvia or Provia.
Usually slide films and maybe Ektar. These have, I'm not sure. But I've heard that Ektachrome is really, I tried it. Remember we did some Aurora shots with that?
Yeah.
And I can vouch we tested a digital camera with a film camera, taking the same exposure. They looked about the same exposure.
It was really nice. Yeah.
So but I'm guessing for a pinhole, he's going to be using sheet film, and it's going to be expensive to work with Ektachrome. Yes. So I might want to use something like that.
I mean, a lot of people, because when they go into pinhole is, I would say, is a very experimental type of photography. You know, you are not going into pinhole to get very good detailed results. You know, it's more like we are gonna talk about the photographer of the day. It's very ethereal. It's very, you know, you capture movement. You have to do long exposure. So I think people go with cheaper films because you do a lot of tests.
Potentially, you can use something like this, or even a photo paper.
Yeah.
To make a print directly, a direct positive, basically.
A photo paper is like a whole different story because, of course, photo paper have ISOs that are very low, so you have to have that in account when you're calculating your exposure for pinhole. And
some do have reciprocity failure. I've heard that up to 10 minutes exposure on photo paper should be all right. You don't hit any reciprocity. But again, that depends what kind of paper you're using. So what are you saying here, basically? So the best recommendation is look up the recommendation by the manufacturer.
Yeah. So what the manufacturer is gonna give you, sometimes they show it as a graph where it's like a time and exposure, like on the two axes of the graph. Others, they actually give you a table and they say from this minute to this minute, one stop or half stop, whatever it is. From this minute to this minute, 2 stops. From this minute to this minute, 3 stops. So then you can bake that in your calculation. Others, they give you a factor. To me, the factor is the easiest way to use it, because basically once you have done all the calculation that we were talking about before, knowing how much you have to expose for a proper exposure with your F number and the sensitivity of your film, then you just multiply that by the factor that the manufacturer gives you. For example, I think for HP4 is 168.
You mean FP4?
FP4. Did I say HP4?
You said HP4.
No, FP4.
Yeah.
It's like 168. So then if you get 30 seconds exposure, then you multiply 30 by 168 and it gives you a number. And that should be your right exposure counting reciprocity for that specific film.
Right.
Given that, I still think that one should go ahead with pinhole photography with the idea of doing tests. That means try different things.
Yeah.
And try to use film that has a high latitude, so it's also less sensitive to give you bad results if you are up or down a bit on your exposure.
So you can save it.
In a sense, you're still going to get savable results. So yeah, I think that's basically all about it.
When I was looking into it, in the past, all I've seen is people just arguing about it, and eventually they come to the conclusion that you should do your own tests about reciprocity. And I've seen some wildly different numbers for the same film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you have to do your own test. I think another thing that might play a factor in this area is that what kind of light you're using, because I'm starting to learn that different lights affect the film differently. Like and it even changes the speed of the film. You know, like I've been trying a lot with the Washi W.
Yeah.
And that film from the manufacturer tell you that you have to rate it differently for a different kind of light.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same goes for other films that we're familiar with. If you read the data sheet, you see that they have different ratings for different light sources.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I understand that one fully, so don't take my word for it about like something like Portra or Ektachrome or whatever film that you're thinking of. If you look and read up the data sheet, I think they give you different exposure recommendations for different lights.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I when I was reading, I think they were also factoring in the type of filter that you need to use and the compensation that you need to apply. So that's what I'm not sure about. I'm not sure if they give you a different speed
Because of the
because
filters?
of the filters.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But I think, I don't know if, yeah. Because if you use the same exact specific filter,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, that makes sense. But if you use an equivalent filter that might, let different amount of light through,
Yeah,
then it's
so
gonna
I
be,
think that I actually found out today doing this short research about pinhole reciprocity is that apparently the intensity of the light
Yeah.
also affects the reciprocity of the film.
right.
So imagine it like that. If you have a very diffuse light, right, in a big or like a smaller aperture, like 1.4, where the light is going into the film, like kind of diffuse, not so intense. But then you will have to do longer exposures.
Mhm.
That would affect the reciprocity of the film differently than if you have a blasting light
Mhm.
and then you have to expose for less time.
But
Generally,
blasting light, you're never really hitting those times if the light is too
yeah,
intense.
that's what I was thinking also. But I guess this is more about the science and the capabilities of the film behind.
Right.
So it's a theory. Maybe it doesn't never really play a role once you are working with it,
Mhm.
but it's something that is inherent to the film. So it's good to know it. Like that film does actually react differently reciprocity-wise with the intensity of the light.
Mhm.
I don't know how that would, but maybe have it in account if you're doing some testing, so if you're doing some cool stuff with the pinholes.
Right. Let's see what we have in the chat. Sorry.
Allergies.
Yeah, allergies are killing me.
Chronic Fish is asking, what are your thoughts on the Holga pinhole camera? Have you guys used it? Wanted a 120 pan, but I can't find one anywhere. I do not have personal experience with the Holga pinhole. I have seen it around. I think I knew someone that had one. It seems like a fun camera to just toy around with.
Yeah, there's some suggestions about Ondu or Goodman.
Goodman, yeah.
Secura pinholes. Right, and Chris, of course.
Yes.
I would second Chris. Make your own.
I mean, pinhole is the most easy camera you can make. Basically, with a shoebox and aluminium foil.
I can't remember
Front,
the name
you
of that
can make
camera. What
one.
was the name of that camera?
Which one?
The one that you do everything inside.
The Afghan box.
Is that
I
what
think
it's called?
it's called the Afghan box.
I'm sure one of you knows in the chat. It's the camera where you have everything inside, including the chemistry, and so you just you basically.
It's called Afghan box.
Yeah, it's basically like a hybrid between a dark bag and a and a camera.
Actually quite cool. There was someone in the server that was
yeah.
to
I remember
make
who.
it, right?
I know their like their alias, but they're probably I'm not gonna go into it right now. But yeah, they made one themselves, and so basically you put holes in a box, and then you put like fabric to put your hands through.
You do it. It's all in one.
Yeah,
basically.
So you load up a sheet, and you expose, and then you
close the exposure,
close
and
the
then you have the
exposure,
3 buttons there.
and then you develop inside, and then you open
It's
it.
the slowest instant camera ever.
Right?
Right.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, if you're shooting direct positive on it, then it will be the slowest. Otherwise, shooting a 4x5 direct positive and having to do that process that we do, it takes forever. If it works last time,
Oh my
all
god!
right, so
oh my god!
here's the thing. We did some direct positives. They were amazing, beautiful.
We showed them last week, right? I think so.
I think we did. Yeah. I don't know if we showed all of the ones we did because we did more outside.
Yeah.
But so they were working so fine, and then we had
so beautiful, so nice.
right, and we had a friend come over We did a lot of shooting. We shot like 3 rolls that day here in this apartment on the balcony. Took a lot of stuff because we wanted to develop, but we
It
didn't
was
want to.
sunny. We
One
tried Cinestill 50D, and I love
Beautiful.
it. I love it with the evening sun. So beautiful.
right. So we wanted, but the idea was we wanted to fill up the tank because we didn't want to like develop with half a jobo.
If we're gonna do the job, we do it fully.
Right. So we already had 3 rolls, and we wanted to put a few more on top of them. And then we were like, oh, we can play with some direct positives. We shot a couple, and I think I talked about the process last week. We shot a couple, and then the way we do it, we develop as normal. So developer, wash, no fix, hydrogen peroxide, and citric acid bath. So you start with citric acid, hydrogen peroxide, go back and forth.
Yeah.
And then you flash the light, throw it in the developer. But ideally, the idea is in hydrogen peroxide will wash out all the developed exposed silver halides
from the first exposure.
Yeah. So when you took the picture, put it in the developer, it will become a negative basically. It will turn black, and then the hydrogen peroxide will turn it back to white, and then you flash it again, and whatever unexposed halides that were there will be exposed, and it will become a positive image.
And it works great.
It works every time, except for last time. When we had somebody who was so excited to see it in action.
And everything.
She was looking at it and like, oh, it's going to happen now.
And we are 3 people in a tiny bathroom.
Yeah, with no lights.
Like, we are not going out of here until this works.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow it didn't work. We were considering all options. Maybe when we did the first exposure, there was some fixer around and it fixed it. Then, of course, you cannot remove it anymore.
So I threw them back. When I gave up, I threw the papers back. We turned up the light and I threw the paper back in the thing. And they were not fixed. They turned black.
No.
And we know the peroxide is working because we used it today. And look how blue these things are.
Yes, it looks beautiful.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened. Maybe it was a little bit of contamination, but still.
It makes no sense because the other times it just like seriously
the only difference is that usually we just use the paper developer directly. We mix it and we use it.
Yeah.
That time we developed one washi W roll in it right before we do that process.
But how would that affect things?
I have no idea.
Hey, we have to try again. Hi CM. I sent you a message about the cyanotype.
Yeah, so look what we did. By the way, CM is the one who sent us the chemicals.
Which is going to last us like half a lifetime. Because
how much did you mix? 10 milliliters?
I mixed 5 milliliters and 5 milliliters and we coated like 10 papers or something like that.
Yeah. So thank you. We're having fun with this. Our first test today.
Yes. It worked.
Yeah. Well, actually, this is not the first test. This is
I sent him an update of how things were going so he can check it out.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You can. Bernard has a really cool suggestion. You can just make a new front standard, like a lens board made out of whatever, and put a hole in it.
Yeah.
If you have a 4x5 camera already, that's a really good idea. Cool. What else do we have on the
menu
for today?
Well, I guess we have the photographer of the day, which is one of your favorite photographers ever, right?
Yeah, well, I have to come clean about this.
That's how we're going to start.
Right. So we're going to talk about Ernst Hass. Obviously, you read the title. But I'm going to tell you this. Ernst apparently is my favorite photographer that I didn't know about. Like, when I saw his work, I was like, oh, now everything makes sense. Maybe I don't know, because his work is, he did so much different work.
I know, I
that he's like all my favorite photographers in one person.
He's just great.
Do you know what I mean?
He was great. Yeah.
Let me open Instagram real quick so I can shout out 2 active photographers really quickly that really inspired me from years ago. Hold on a second. I should have prepared this earlier. But I'm there. Don't panic.
Nobody's panicking. We're just chilling.
I am panicking. All right. So here we are. This is the first photographer, Juhan Bjanstrom. He is from Stockholm, I think, as well, or at least he's in Stockholm. And you can see his photos latest work is a lot of portraits, but If you scroll down, you will start to see something different. And that's when I was,
Yeah, you told me like his style has changed, or at least his page has changed a lot
yeah.
in the past
So
time.
here, look at these stuff. I love
Yeah,
this work.
it's so nice.
He did a lot of these, slower shutter speed photos with the camera movement in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell there was one with the flowers. It's just beautiful. He did a lot of experimentation. Look at these.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Look at these. And a lot of them you can tell that they're calculated. Maybe like it took more than one. But I mean, beautiful work. Beautiful work. Yeah, you can check out his page and maybe nag him to do more of this work. And here you can see some of the like people in the motion. Some of these are gonna look familiar when we start looking at Ernst's work. There are some similarities,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing. In a few episodes, past episode, we talked about. I think it was last week or the week before. We talked about impressionism versus.
That was the week before.
Yeah.
Expressionism?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here you can see there's a lot of impressions happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the whole frame is out of focus or purposefully blurred or moved. It just leaves you with you kind of have an idea of what you're looking at, but there's always an emotion attached to it. The other one, oh, look at these with the flowers. I love the flower ones. He has a bunch of them. So yeah, maybe I'll leave a link in the description.
That'd be great.
Yeah, here's the profile. If you want to check him out, give him a follow. And the other one is Carl Herman. Crazy stuff here. This is Crazy Town.
They're both Swedish.
Is he? I think
they
this
have
dude is
Swedish
German.
name. Maybe not.
Yeah,
this is German. The other one was Swedish.
Yeah. A lot of moving stuff. A lot of weird morphed frames. This one is not in the same vibe.
But it still has, it kind of applies the same principles.
Yeah, but I just want to tell you that these were my inspirations when I started doing my own stuff with purposefully out of focus images, purposefully motion blurred images and stuff like that. I have to give credit to these two guys. And so that's that. While I'm giving credit, I have to give a credit to a YouTuber by the name of T Hopper. If you don't know who she is, you probably know who she is, but if you don't, check her out, give her a follow. She basically, her show is quite similar to ours. And she features a lot of photographers
and also painters. Like she does, she artists that are inspiring and
exactly. And so I learned about Ernst Hass when she made a video about him 3 months ago. I double checked before we started. And I was like, so much about this guy resonates with me. Like the fact that he's a painter in a hurry.
Yeah, that's how he used to call himself.
Yeah, and the way that he takes it, like the way of his photos look is, when I saw them, I was like, this is what
It makes me tingle, and I want, and you haven't really read about his story. So when I was researching for this episode and I was going all through his work again, like it was just so beautiful. Like I was getting goosebumps while I was reading and I was pulling information for this episode, because it's a mix of how beautiful the photos are, the meaning of the work he was doing, the history of his life from not being a photographer and not being interested in photography almost at all, till being this great creative artist that did photography for the rest of his life. And that he even moved against currents and against trends, and he just did what he wanted to do, and it's so beautiful and so inspiring and so great to talk about it and to enjoy the art that he did.
Exciting stuff. I am looking forward to this episode because, as you know, if you are watching this before, I can't read. So I'm just kidding, but I find it hard sometimes. And Eva is a bookworm. I say that lovingly. And so yeah, she I learn with you guys about everything we talk about here on the podcast. So,
I just like it quirks and bits, like that it makes things fun, and the stories of people are very interesting.
all right. So I'm looking at the website. Where should I go? Where do you want me to go?
Let me see. Where are we? Are you on the website?
Yeah. Do you want to see it here as well?
Yeah, of
There you
course.
go.
Because otherwise, I mean, the website is great. It has a lot of information. It's very, very nice, well organized. Apart from being a bookworm, and I'm an organizing freak, so to speak. I like things that are easy to find. We were saying some photographers that did great work. Their websites or the collections that they have put on the internet doesn't really make them, how you say,
Like, doesn't give them justice.
Yeah, exactly. And here is very nice. You can find black and white work. You can find color work.
So he started with black and white.
He started with black and white because of the era when he started, but then quickly he found the beauty and the wonders of color, and then he kind of never went back to shoot the black and white. And then the website has old color work and newer color work. I have to say that he mostly with Kodacolor.
Mm-hmm.
Kodachrome, sorry.
Kodachrome.
Yeah, and like the color work is beautiful, but maybe we should look at the black and white work first.
Yeah,
and then I also like how the website is organized, because you can see by themes. You can see the motion pictures, you can see abstract work that he did and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You can see portraits, and he also did a lot of work during his life on movie sets and with famous people. So there's a whole section about profiles or photos of very famous people, which we can go through them at some point.
Yeah, I can see Martin Luther King here.
Yeah, and also a lot of actresses and actors as well.
There's Einstein.
Einstein, yeah, that's kind of fun. And it's still, you really see him on the photos that he's taking, even when he's photographing, famous people, and even some portraits, and they're so nice. And so many in between takes, which is something that I think he felt very passionate about, being able to represent the in-between.
Yeah, that is, I think, very important. And it's often neglected, the in-between.
Mm-hmm. What can we say about him?
It seems to be a theme, I have to say. Sorry to interrupt you. It seems to be a theme with a lot of photographers that we talk about on the show, that they started with black and white. And then when they made almost all of them made the switch to Kodachrome. And then they faced resistance. Like, what are you doing? Color is for whatever.
I mean, that was how the general photography world was. Like, color is for amateurs, color is for, the populace. It's not for artists. Artists do black and white. And what are you doing? Art cannot be in color, so to speak. But he was like not having any of it. He was like, I am doing whatever I want.
I mean, look at this. Hold on. So it's a great photo, but what is that in the back? Who made that? I love that.
Like right?
That pattern on the back.
In his abstract work, he has a lot of photos of things that are a little bit like that background there.
Yeah, we checked it out. I don't know if you maybe you're reading.
Maybe not looking. But
I love this one. This one reminds me. Do you remember? There's a Dutch photographer that I love. I forget her name, but she has, like, I can tell that she does a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where she was inspired by it. She has like 100 pictures of like very similar ones.
Do you know who was one of the early inspirations for Ernst?
Are you quizzing me right now?
I don't know. Do you have any idea?
I
can tell you a quick.
Okay.
I'll give you a
we
tip.
already talked about him on the show.
No.
All right, then I have no idea.
No, the tip is Ernst started taking photos of close-up plants, water, natural forms.
We didn't talk about him on the show? So it's not Cunningham?
No. Maybe you one can guess. I can tell you.
Do I know the name?
I guess. He has a very, very, very famous picture. Or print.
Very famous picture or print. Very famous print. All right, let's... Very famous print.
Yes.
the guy who did the pepper,
The bell pepper.
the bell
Yeah.
pepper, Weston.
Weston, yeah.
Ah,
Everyone Weston.
Nice.
That was his early. He was really into shapes and abstract feeling and getting very close up and representing nature. And here I'm saying a famous print because in case you don't know, Edward Weston sold the most expensive print in the world, which is a photo of a bell pepper of all things. But it's beautiful. And
It is
apparently,
beautiful.
people that have seen that photo live, like they have seen the print, having the print in front of them, they say that it's completely a different thing than actually seeing the photo in internet, or even though we can look for it and see. It's
What was it?
bell pepper number 23, I think, or
Number
something like
33, I
that.
think.
33.
I don't know. Do I know how to type?
If you put bell pepper, you'll find it.
23?
No.
No, then it's 30.
Just put Edward Weston bell pepper.
Yeah.
30. Okay.
This one. It just looks like.
It looks like two bodies.
Yeah, like two
fused
swans,
together,
or yeah. It looks like what is the word? Not anamorphic.
Anamorphic, anthropomorphic. No.
Yeah, I'm not a scientist.
Morphic.
It looks like almost like this one too. This is another pepper from the series, I think.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure, but this one looks like two people hugging.
Yeah, I mean, the other one, the one that got sold, when I see it small, I don't see it very well. I don't know what it is. It looks even, those photos of naked bodies that are like crunching onto each other in fetal position, which is like a very vulnerable kind of position to have a portrait done. It reminds me of that.
Yeah, like you almost can see like muscles and stuff. Like it almost looks like a human back with the muscles.
Yeah, the choice
crazy.
of the lighting, the exposure, of course, and I guess I don't remember now the print what it was made on, but I guess one of the very, very expensive, or very complicated processes or something. I don't remember now. But so this is the famous photo, the famous print.
How did we get here?
Because Ernst Hass was very inspired by Edward Weston's work early on in his career, and he focused at the beginning a lot on capturing nature, which if you are only kind of maybe familiar with Hass's work, later work, you might think like, oh, that's very different. But as we're saying, he shot a lot of different things, and he was very prolific.
A lot of his black and white work reminds me a little bit of Bresson, in the sense, in the way he captures crowds. Like this one, for example, like it easily can be mistaken for a Bresson image. Like because there's a lot going on. Like this kid here with their mouth open, and this guard here doing something, and this one looking over there. There is that woman in the back with a grin on her face. This is such a Bresson type of photo. Like if if you would show this to me, I would say, guess who took this photo? It's a famous photographer. Easily would guess Bresson. That's what I'm trying to say. And then you can see it in a lot of his images.
I think the way that he saw composition as the main element of the picture also reminds of Bresson's work.
Yeah. And I think that's what I meant when I said, when I saw his work, it was, to me at least, a lot of my favorite photographers combined in one person, or my favorite photographic techniques combined, because I love the black and white, decisive moment type of photography with a lot of things happening in the frame, or maybe sometimes just something like this is just so beautiful. And then you contrast it with his color work, which we're going to get to in a second, and it's just so beautiful.
I love those shadow plays and
with the light.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's beautiful work. Very inspiring in many ways. I think everybody that likes photography can find something that can inspire them within Hass's work. That's what I really believe.
I agree. I definitely agree.
It's not very polarizing. I don't think there is anybody out there that would say Hass is not a good photographer or like a great
I mean,
pioneer.
You will find something of his work that you will love.
Exactly. This is what I mean.
Yeah. Look at this. Oh, it reminds me of, I know, do you remember that we were talking about it, Samsara?
Samsara, yeah.
The intro scene?
I don't remember.
I think they were doing the same thing.
I think it's been a long time.
Where is this? Ceremonial dance in Bali. 1956.
In Bali?
Mm-hmm. All right. So what do you want to look at next? We
I guess
browsed some black and white.
Yeah, we can maybe move on to color. You know,
Classic color. I think this is a good
classic color is nice. You know, Haas
chronic.
was the first photographer of having a solo exhibition of color photography in the Museum of Modern Art in New York ever. It was, I actually found on the internet a beautiful, kind of like the release of in the newspaper that this exhibition was gonna be in the museum, and it was very beautiful. It was actually what I think I found. I have it here somewhere. What it was, the intention of him having that exhibition was to arrive at an image in which the spectator feels the beauty of a fourth dimension between the moments rather than within a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like the goal of the first exhibition in color that he did. And I think when you think about it, back in the days, photography was mainly black and white, which is not really how people see the world. And I'm thinking for people that went out to see photo exhibitions, going to a photo exhibition of color work, which was not common at all, maybe they make them feel more connected to the photography and the work, because that's how people experience the world, right? I'm thinking if that would actually have been something going on in people's minds when they went to see this very new and pioneering way of presenting art and photography in particular, and also knowing how the work of Haas develops and goes about. So I wonder if people could feel closer to the photography and the work with a color photography exhibition than a black and white exhibition.
I don't know. I think we naturally adjust for the lack of color in a black and white image somehow.
We cannot make it up in our minds.
Yeah, because it becomes a different way of looking. It's like, when you look at a blueprint, for example, or a pencil drawing of something, you can instantly relate to it in that way, and it's and I think that's some of the charm of black and white is that it's not 100% representation, because when you look at a black and white image, you can only guess that the sky was blue and the meadow was green, but it could have been any other color. Really, it could have been anything else. And the way that you play with filters and you change the tones, it adds drama, it adds feeling. So it's like an impression, more of an impressionistic medium.
I understand
that will carry more feelings baked into it, versus color. Color is, especially if you're gonna be like direct, with your colors, with no adjustments, with none of the, like we talked about how Haas was doing here, motion. So here, this one is famous.
Bullfighting in Spain.
This, even though the colors are there's a lot more to the picture. The impression is in the motion.
Yeah.
It's not just, even a still photo of a bullfighter with the bull, and you can see that the fabric is flying one way, and you can feel the action in the muscles of the bull. But there's something about the longer exposure that kind of gives it a different feel. Like you don't know really where it started or where it ended, but you know what's going on. There's a lot of things. It's an intense moment. And so I don't really know. I don't really know if how color, just like if you have the two images, the exact same image, one in color, one in black and white, if color would make it. Your point was to make it more relatable?
Yeah, so but I'm also putting it in the time of space when this was happening, that majority or all the photography that people were consuming in terms of art, it was black and white.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if that maybe made a barrier or somehow, and then the color photography of Haas comes in, and then people can think closer to the to the scenes and to the images, because that's how we experience the world. I don't know, I'm just
Yeah,
hypothesizing,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, if you think about this nature work, like for example, this one in Kenya, I mean, it's a beautiful image, and in its own merit, like I mean, it's just crazy the colors that I'm looking at. And here's a thing that I also learned from T. Hopper's video. He used a lot of dye transfer.
He loved it. Was his favorite technique. When he learned about dye transfer, he makes sure that the majority of the things he would do on the darkroom would be dye transfer.
And I can tell you this: the way dye transfer looks is just, it's a piece. It's a really a piece of art in the sense that how the colors are reproduced.
It's true.
And like, imagine when you go and you look at a wall. It can be a brick wall, like a bare brick wall. Is it brick or cement?
Both,
you know, like the gray
together,
stuff.
Yeah, the gray. Yeah, it's
that's cement blocks basically. And then contrast that with a red brick one, and then contrast that with a marble. They're all doing the same function. All of them are a wall, right? But then the material, the shine, the everything,
the texture
plays a role. And so when you bring colors, especially using something like Kodachrome and then doing a dye transfer print, you're ending up with a beautiful, you know, frame to look at in terms of colors and textures and all that stuff. So I think it's a combination of all those things that would make that would add value to the end result. And I noticed what Walid was asking, do you think they will bring back Kodachrome? Nope, never. Forget about it.
They would.
Unfortunately not. It's because it's a lot of people talked about this before, and that's what I learned. You're not gonna, because Kodachrome is a proprietary process, was created by Kodak, and it used a specific chemical process that was very complicated, and the chemicals are very harmful to the environment. So it's gonna be super hard to bring it back. It's a very specialized process. Only few labs, like only labs that were
like kind of on the
authorized by Kodak.
The program, program.
So I don't think Kodak has the means to do anything of that magnitude today. And even if they did, it has to be different because of the chemicals that were used in the making of that. But dye transfer is still alive. So
Very
if you have money, you know, make dye transfer prints. Maybe more labs will do it. I know that there is at least 2 labs in the world.
Yeah, there's one in Europe for sure.
There's one in Germany in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
That I've looked so hard to find, and I think there's one in US. Maybe there's one in UK as well. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I know there's a current artist who does dye transfer. Tyler Shields talks about it. I don't know where he does his prints, but they still exist. They still make them.
We're seeing here a lot of pictures of nature. Actually, they're beautiful. Classic color collection in nature.
I switched. Sorry, you're looking at the delay.
Yeah, I cannot read in the small one. Sorry. Yeah, we were looking at the nature. There is actually a book. Ernst Hass published a book called The Creation. It's the most sold photography book ever.
These are photos from that book. This collection is called Creation.
Yes, and it's a collection of photos of nature in different places around the world, organized into an expressive and poetic sequence of meaning throughout the book. And it was first published in 1971, so you can see like it wasn't very common back then to have color in that way presented as well. And yeah, it's one of the best-selling photographers of all times. I actually tried to find the book, at least to peek on it somehow online. I couldn't find anything. I guess you had to snatch a hard copy somewhere. But the nature photos I've seen throughout the website are incredible, amazing.
Yeah, these are beautiful. I don't even know what this is.
This is a frozen lake.
Oh,
for sure. Like
these
a
are
very
bubbles
thin
in the ice.
Yeah, frozen lake.
So cool.
So beautiful.
This one like kind of blurs the lines between his abstract work and his...
The photo that you were showing before, which is the one in the bottom, the very bottom one.
The Kenya one with the elephant?
Yeah, the Kenya one. Actually, you know, like if you look at it, the sky, if you look at the negative of the sky, to me it looks like there is a huge mountain of
Hold
snow.
on. That's not a sky.
Is it a mountain of snow? No, it's
Yeah.
a sky.
No. I have no idea what I'm
It
looking
cannot be a mountain of ice because it's in Kenya. So
at. Well, how do you know? It snowed in Texas a few weeks ago, so anything could happen.
maybe it is a mountain and somehow there is some
Compression.
light refraction or something like that.
Compression.
Compression, but also it's blue.
So if he's on a hill, right?
Yeah.
If this is a hill, and then the land goes down, but then in the distance there is a mountain, and he's using a super long lens.
I still think it can be clouds that are just positioned in a way that it's reminiscent of a faraway mountain.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
Both of them are incredible in any case.
What do you guys think in the chat? What are we looking at here?
Now is the moment to say, if you're listening to us on your podcast platform, then maybe come hang out with us and watch all these beautiful, beautiful photographs that we're looking
Or
at.
you can find the links in the show notes
Yeah.
and flip through the photos. I try my best to keep saying where I am in the...
Yeah.
But I know I forget a lot of times, so sorry about that. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm looking at, to be honest with you. I saw it and I didn't want to think about it. I just enjoyed it.
I enjoy it a lot, but I like to think about how the photos were made and what they are.
CM is saying, is it perhaps Kilimanjaro?
It could be.
Yeah.
But Kilimanjaro, like what to me doesn't make sense is that the snow line would be so close to what we're seeing
Because
in the bottom.
it's a hill,
Yeah.
but then the mountain is in the distance.
Could be. It's just very cool. Does it
Yeah.
say anything in the description?
It just says Kenya.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's a snowy mountain top, and the lens is very long.
Very long.
So it looks like he is,
I'm
the same-
surprised because Ernst only used a Leica 35mm for it.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I think this is...
What? Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what I read. Actually, this is kind of like a story, like a funny story. You know how he got his first camera?
How?
This is a funny story. So actually, he wasn't interested in photography. I think
Yeah.
I mentioned it before. It wasn't until his dad passed away that he decided to get some photos and do some prints in a dark room to, for family purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he really fell in love with making prints and photography. And then he wanted to be a painter, as we're saying, but he saw photography could give him a lot. So he actually got his first camera in 1946 at 25, trading a 20-pound block of margarine for a Rolleiflex in Vienna on the black market.
What? What?
That's how he got his first camera.
20 pounds of
Margarine?
like the stuff you make
Like
food
butter?
with?
Yeah.
For what? For a Leica?
Rolleiflex.
For a Rolleiflex?
Yeah.
What?
And then he worked with a Rolleiflex from from 46 to the late 40s, and then he switched to a 35mm Leica rangefinder, which I guess maybe was the M4.
Mm-hmm.
And he used that consistently for the rest of his career. So, not sure what lens he could have put to make that photo, but yeah, he mostly worked with Leica rangefinder.
Yeah, I'm sure he used some other cameras as well.
I actually want to read the...
Look at this one.
I really want to read the... Yeah, that's beautiful. That's in the national parks in the US.
Ooh.
I want to read the quote where he says, the painter in a hurry, so because I want to put into context of what else he said when he was talking about that. He says, I never really wanted to be a photographer. It slowly grew out of the compromise of a boy who desired to combine two goals, explorer or painter. I wanted to travel, see and experience. What better profession could there be than the one of a photographer, almost a painter in a hurry, overwhelmed by too many constantly changing impressions. But all my inspirational influences came much more from all the arts than from photo magazines. So yeah, if you want to travel and you want to paint quickly, being a photographer is your thing for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at this one with the clouds casting on all the.
I think these are part of his first solo adventure through America. He actually moved from Europe to New York, and then from New York, the first time that he was on a solo assignment, he decided to hitchhike all the way to New Mexico
Mhm.
and take photos on the way, and as a homage to America, I guess, or something.
Mhm.
These are part of that work, I believe.
These are so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
What's
See,
happening?
I bought a Rolleiflex 2.8A last month. It
Oh,
cost me around 150 margarine packs. Right? It's crazy. Let's see his New York work.
2.8. Is nice.
Nice camera, by the way.
We have the 3.5p.
B.
B.
Oh, it's a cool camera. I like it.
It's beautiful. It's tiny. It holds so well. It just
Yeah.
works so nicely.
Yeah, it cost us like I would say 4 packs of margarine or
More.
more.
What? Much more.
How much is a pack of margarine?
Like 30 kroner,
Yeah.
I guess.
So how much that would be? I'm so bad at math.
Then maybe 30.
Yeah.
30 bucks.
30 packs of margarine for our.
That's how we're going to calculate the prices of the cameras from now on.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy how simple the world used to be in a way.
Right.
Oh, look at these. Norway stuff.
Yes, Norway, yeah.
I don't know if
Obviously.
all of them were in Norway. So Norway, Italy. This is Europe.
Europe.
We're looking at the Europe collection. Oh,
Yeah.
this one
Look
is so
at this.
beautiful.
It's so, like, it's just so beautiful to frame it this way, right? Like, how this is must be the most Venetian picture ever, and it's not really showing you Venice, you
Yeah.
know. It's like the essence of it, and I see that a lot of his work. Like, that's why it's so evoking and inspiring. Is because it's like you make it within yourself, in a
Mhm.
sense. That's how I feel when I look at his photography. It's like I make the photograph part of my thoughts and my experience, and it's not so obvious either.
Yeah, it's like it's the detail that makes the experience.
Yeah.
It's that like Zen moment in a way during the trip that you kind of notice on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And
And those little frames that,
Right.
yeah. So
this one too. Where am I losing you? What are you up to?
I was just reading some of the quotes about Hass to put them into the. It's just so nice.
Indeed.
I still, if I have to choose, I would choose the motion pictures and the abstract ones. Even though I love everything, but if I had to choose.
Yeah, I mean, again, he did so much different work, and I would say though, what do I want to say? I forgot. What's happening? I didn't have enough caffeine today.
Sorry, I don't have any to give you.
Why can't I remember what I wanted to say? I don't know. Let's see the
Doesn't
new
matter.
work.
Move on to the next thing.
So there's classic color and new color, and I don't know what the difference is.
I
but
think
they
it's
kind of
more
have
recent.
this, but they fall into the same categorization. So
Yeah.
we have classic color creation and now new color creation.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the difference would be, but these
I
are
think it's when they were taken
tight.
on time. I believe. Those close-ups of plants are just so great. I can't get enough of them.
I was gonna say, yeah, some of the classic abstract.
Mm-hmm.
These. What was the name of the photographer we talked about a few episodes ago who did a lot of this stuff?
You mean Ranger Pats?
What?
Albert Ranger Pats?
I have no idea. Was it?
That's the one.
I did a lot of abstract work, and they did some photos that looked like petri dishes to me. Do you remember who I'm talking about? Did a lot
Everything
of
is
like
blurry now in my head.
did a lot of-
Aaron Siskin.
maybe.
That's the one with the expressionism, abstract expressionism.
Yeah, these remind me of those really a lot, especially like something like this, for example, because you know this is a gasoline
Mm-hmm.
stain on the floor with a wet rainy day, and you can tell that this is his reflection.
Yeah.
I kind of like how he placed it as
Yeah.
if it was his head, and conveniently there is these two patches like that make eyes.
Mm-hmm.
This one is so cool. All right. Oh, ooh.
Yeah. This reminds me, we were looking at who was this? A very early on guy. Was it maybe Albert Renches-Paz was taking photos of a brush of painted walls? Remember?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I think that was Albert.
Anyways. All right, let's look at some new work. Let's see how the abstract evolved. Oh, look at this one. It's titled Japan, and it somehow feels so Japanese.
This is what I mean. Like, is this...
Even though I have no idea what I'm looking at.
I think...
Could be the surface of a water, of like
I think so.
Of a body of water.
In like a fountain or something.
Yeah, and
like
there's some stone here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's like whatever. It's just some sunken leaves. Do leaves
It looks
sink?
like it's flowy also.
Yeah, you can see like this can only be achieved by water.
Yeah.
These patterns. So beautiful. Again, we reached the portion of the podcast
When
where
we
we just
talk.
look at stuff and say, wow, this is so beautiful. Welcome to another portion of wow, it's so beautiful. This one is similar to that one as well.
That looks like...
A lot of textures.
yeah.
Ooh, look at this one.
Those are my jams.
You love that shit.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me? You can say that word, I think. We're safe.
It's so nice. Actually, the other day with the half frame, which is the thing I'm exploring lately,
Yeah.
I took one photo very similar to that of the shadows when we were going up the stairs in the big hill in your city.
Yeah.
They just fall so nicely and so symmetrical, and like the structure was beautiful, and a little bit like that.
Which stairs?
The stairs when we were up to the hill in the big
The
hill.
Viking thingy. Is it
Viking
still
hill.
in Penef?
No, it's from the Canon, but we haven't done proper scans because we
so
need
we haven't
to get
scanned the whole
yeah.
roll. Yeah. Right. Any other interesting tidbits that you can read for us while I browse photos?
Okay. Or interesting tidbits about Ernst Hass. Well, I think the 20 pound of margarine was the most striking thing. No, there's also... Well, we haven't really shown the blur ones, but you show the bullfighting one. There's more of that same collection. He went to Spain and he wanted to represent something very Spanish, and of course, bullfighting is something super imprinted in our DNA, Spanish DNA, for the good or for the worse. Like I don't really agree, but it's it's part of our culture and the story, our history, and he. It's kind of funny. He took those photos that you're seeing. He sent the rolls to the lab to be developed, and then the lab wrote back to him saying, "I'm very sorry, but all the photos you sent us, they are completely unusable. They are like beyond, like we don't know what happened, but they weren't properly done." And he was like, "No, like that's what I wanted. I wanted to get that feeling." And then he says that he tried to transform an object from what it is to what you want it to be through movement, using movement. Beyond the physical place, a person or an object he tried to reflect the joy of looking and the human experience. So that was part of it. And actually, those photos that were so bad for the lab to even like give them back to him, they ended up being a full 12-page spread in I think, in Life magazine. So much for the bad photos.
Ironic, isn't it?
Right? So great.
Look at these. Here we switched to a different theme.
This
is
is
more
like
Western.
no, this is actually the set of this movie, not the previous photo that you show.
This one?
The previous one.
This one?
Yeah, that's the America. It's a musical. The West Side Story. West Wide Story. No.
I have no idea what you're trying to say.
Just check the name. West Side Story.
West Side Story?
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah, it is West Side Story.
So, I'm sorry. It's been a long week. No. I still talk about today like it's Friday. And it's Tuesday.
Yeah,
you were asking me how's
messed
your
up.
week, and I'm like, yeah, my week was very busy, and the week just started.
Right?
I cannot count from last week, from the last podcast.
My time compass is completely messed up right now. I don't even know, because if you're watching for the first time, we used to do this show every Friday. Now we do it on Tuesdays.
And it just felt so weird.
And you know what? Last Wednesday, I wanted to go out and get some stuff later in the day, but I was like, it's Saturday, everything is closed. It was a Wednesday.
I know. It's just
Yeah.
These are so nice. No, I mean,
this one is so beautiful.
And don't you think that it's easy to take such a photos? So nobody out there, please think just because they're blurry, it's easy to take them. It's incredibly hard. I would say even more hard than getting a sharp and great image.
I can tell you that.
Right?
I can tell you that from first-hand experience. You need like a lot of planning in the way you move the camera, and you can so easily mess it up. Because think about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a lot of people complain nowadays about DSLRs that they're inferior to mirrorless or to rangefinders, because the minute you expose, you don't see.
Uh-huh.
So rangefinders and mirrorless, you will keep seeing what's happening.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I mean, he was using rangefinder, so he always had an eye on whatever the lens.
Yeah.
But still, it's that time of the exposure where you don't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the picture is happening. So, and it's not just a fraction of a second. Well, it's still a fraction of a second. It depends on the exposure.
Mm-hmm.
But in some cases, I would do anywhere from half a second to 2-3 seconds. Depending, of course, on the light,
Mm-hmm.
on which camera that I'm using, and a lot of things. But I've done up to 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tricky because you're going to anticipate something moving into your frame, being in a specific position. And then, that's when the exposure is going to start.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to kind of calculate that I want them to move from here to here. And this is where I want them to be in my exposure.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe if somebody's moving.
You want to move the camera at the same speed. Yeah.
No, if they're moving their body.
Uh-huh.
And let's say they're spinning in their place. And you want to capture the spin starting here, ending there.
Yeah.
You don't want to spin and then walk.
No, you have to calculate all that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
no, definitely. It's much harder, I think.
Like a dancer, for example.
Yeah.
The dancer is doing a lot of movement. You can kind of anticipate the dance. If they're repeating some motions, you can be like, oh, they're going to do the spin again. You want to capture the spin. You have to nail it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, it depends how accurate you want it to be.
Oh, of course.
Maybe you just want a random moment of that whole thing that is going on. That was also nice. But again, stuff coming in and going out of your frame.
Mm-hmm. And the one we're looking at there, that
This
you were
one?
just, so for example,
I mean, look at
think
the diagonal.
he had to
perfect
be
moving
moving
them.
with him.
Yeah, because
or
you can
her.
see the
Exactly.
background
And,
is completely
and that's
white.
like, it's just so difficult to get the right speed. And it's
Yeah.
a lot of testing, a lot of trials, and a lot of probably bad frames as well in every role. So it's...
See, I mean, like, for example, this one had to be a long lens.
It had to be a long lens, yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Can't be 35 millimeter
No.
with the Leica in this specific position. Yeah. Oh, these are so cool. So yeah, you see, like, again, somebody's dancing, doing something. You want to at least keep them in the frame.
Mm-hmm.
But the horses ones are so beautiful. I would say this one.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Like, it's a cowboy thingy?
I think so. They're trying to tame a small cow.
All right. What do you want to look at next? Some of the...
I really can't read. It's so tiny screen. So.
This one, I've seen people show. I've seen it in a T-Hopper video.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
That's a very modern, I would say. Like, you can see a lot of people nowadays taking similar photos with cine still.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. This is, for me, is like Las Vegas, something like that. It is, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this one.
Yes. Those are...
I like taking photos of people's necks.
You have a couple of them really good, actually. Actually, I was thinking in your Instagram, you have a series of 3 photos that are a little bit on this movement blurry
The blur
things, right?
series, yeah.
If you wanna show it.
Yeah, I don't know. Because to me, that's the thing. I feel like when I put stuff, I just, maybe I should explain what I'm doing, and maybe I just,
You don't. You just show it. Just show
I
it.
know,
That is
right.
like that's the kind of thing you like. That's why it's a showcase page, right?
I guess so. But let's keep looking at Ernst. I don't like showing my work.
Lucia says, "I wanna see it
Where is she?
here on the chat."
Oh, my chat is delayed. Is it? Are you the same? Are you this one? Is that you?
Is that you? Is that Lucia? I think so.
All right. This podcast is going off the rails.
No.
I'm losing control of the show.
Oh, this is so nice. This is those canyons are impressive.
It is very nice. Oh, it is.
I told
It
you.
is her. Hey. Utah. Ooh, look at these.
Yeah, these are probably. Oh, I've been on those areas, and it's just
I
there's
really
so
want
much
to visit.
potential for photography.
Do you think these are aerial? They have
No, I think these are either aerial or he was in one of, because this area
One of the
has a
higher
lot
hills.
of deep carved valleys of rivers and stuff, and it's really cool.
Are you getting too warm?
I am really warm.
Me
Do you
too.
see in my face? Am
No,
I
I
red?
can hear it in your breathing. And I can feel it too. We had to close the windows and turn off the fan. It's so hot.
It's really hot. It's like 26 degrees in Sweden.
It's cool.
Please help us.
I mean, if there would be sunlight, it would be nice.
It's
Again,
damp and
looking
gray.
at these photos, I see
Mhm.
a lot of inspiration for a lot of them, like popular photographers of today, like this one. Like, you know,
I was looking at that one, yeah.
you know, we talked about this when we looked at Meyorowicz's work,
Meyerowitz, yeah.
and a lot of very like trendy shots that were
Trendy
taken.
Cape Cod photos.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
taken 50 years ago, or I don't know how long ago. And now you see a lot of people like
Mhm.
taking the same photos, which is cool. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, of course. It's just, it's funny how things come around, right?
Yeah.
And there's always a trendsetter of sorts.
And here,
Mm-hmm.
this one, 2,000 upvotes on Reddit. All right.
They will say that it doesn't have enough tones.
No, right? You need to use an Imacon scanner for better results. Anyways, let's see some portraits.
Yes,
These are some of the famous people you were talking
a
about.
lot of famous people actually.
All right, pick somebody.
Pick somebody. Okay, let me see. I mean, I'm delayed because I can't read there. Let me see. Sophia Loren.
Where is she?
She's up, I guess.
I passed her.
There.
There. So these are from movie sets, huh?
I guess, yeah.
Oh, she got hurt.
Did she?
Look,
Oh.
she has a boo-boo.
Mm.
This scene reminds me of Tropic Thunder for some reason.
I'm a dude, play that dude.
You know,
This guy's not a dude.
you know the scene where, like, when they accidentally blow the explosions and Ben Stiller is dying, and what's his name? He's holding him. It's like, don't die. Oh, whatever. Sorry.
These are from the different sets, I think. Ernst Hass studio.
Yeah. I mean, cool photos, but they're not my favorite Ernst Hass photos, to be honest with
No.
you. They're scene photos. I don't really care about those things so
I mean,
much.
I think he was on set and he
Yeah.
was just like capturing
I mean,
the
I meant
life
to say
from
movie
the
set. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
set scene. I meant to say movie set. Let's see somebody who's not an actor.
I
Let's
get
see
Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I saw him earlier. There. These should be cool. Oh, look at this one.
Mm.
Again, so Bresson, this one,
Yeah.
right? It's just like a frame filmed with people.
It's so powerful. Yeah, I really like it.
I mean, like, looking at this photo, regardless that Luther King is in it,
Mm-hmm.
like, because some photos, the subject makes the photo, you know, like whoever, it's a photo of like a Marilyn Monroe or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a cool photo because it's a photo of them. But this one, regardless of Martin Luther King being in it,
Mm-hmm.
it's an amazing
It's a
photo.
beautiful photo, yeah.
Yeah. And this is the stuff that interests me, if I have to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not so much who is in there, but
Yeah. This one,
everything around
this one as well. Regardless of him, I mean, it's cool that it's like, it's definitely like, again, I don't know so much about US history, but I mean, it could be like from a very special day or a
moment,
very
yeah.
historical moment.
And yeah, I mean, they're just very well composed.
And I think, so a photo like this, we talked a few episodes back about, I think Yuno was asking about photojournalism and documentary work,
Yeah,
and we
that was
talked
long
about
time
a
ago.
lot of photos in between.
Yeah,
So like this is a great example.
that tell the story, yeah.
This is a very important photo, and because there's something, these people are, you know, anticipating something. You can see they're not smiling,
Yeah,
or there
it's a
are
tense moment.
tense
yeah.
moment.
Mhm.
Thank you. And then when you put it in context of whatever was going on that day, again, forgive me for not knowing history. You know, here, these photos, if you're documenting an event these are the kind of photos that you have to remember to take.
Exactly.
You know, let's see what else. This one, for example, beautiful photo, this one. This one is a great one. And I think, like, if I was editing to make a story, like, these ones are the ones that I would pick to put it in the news article. But again, I have no credentials, so like, I have no experience doing that. Nobody ever hired me to do it, but it's just my opinion. And yeah, so a lot of you could have like taken a photo of the aftermath of the event, like the whole place when it was empty. These moments, these photos are not going to be super clear. They're not going to scream at you, hey, take me. Like a decisive moment would be like if somebody's celebrating here, like if they got whatever they were fighting for, and they, you know, like if it was a political thing that was going on and there has to be a decisive thing at the end, and they were like, oh, we nailed it, or they're devastated and they didn't nail it, or these are decisive moments in the story. But there's also a lot of things around it, like for example, like this one, for example, these guards with their batons,
moving into somewhere,
you know, people getting so tired and anticipating something. And so these are super cool photos. I love those. I think those are going to be my favorite of this. Let's see. Want to see Einstein?
Einstein, yes.
It's going to be like a lifestyle photo shoot.
For sure. Such an interesting character.
Yeah.
Was it Einstein that was able to make a photographer be able to leave Europe in terms of times of wars? Hassman.
We talked about it in that episode.
That's true.
He hooked him up with the visa.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if we mentioned this detail, because apparently he was framed or not framed, like
he was accused
of murdering his own father.
Yeah.
Was it right?
Yeah.
And
but apparently it wasn't really that. There was some shady things going on.
Yeah.
Might have been framed or not, but he had problems to leave. And
I caught that detail watching Cat Lab's video about our most recent camera, the Cambo Cadet. Very interesting video.
Yes.
Just like, I wanted to look at some reviews of the camera after I got it, for just in case I missed any details. And I look up Cambo Cadet, and then I get this Cat Labs video that is like this, you know, almost like the X-Files. I've never watched the X-Files, but that's how I imagine it to be. You know, it's like so dramatic to tell the story of the Cambo Cadet.
I know, it doesn't really fit
the German
at all.
guy who was murdered or framed of murdering his father, and then he got the help of Albert Einstein to flee to the US, and it's like, what are you talking about?
That's true. So strange.
Right. Well, glad you made it safe, Devin. By the way, Devin is
The
running, I think,
Yeah.
running a Discord server called One More Stop.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll ask you for a link because we have a bunch of Discord servers that we're active in. We like to promote there in the description. So I'm guessing this one we'll add it as well. We're glad you joined us today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Anyways, let's go back to this.
Where we're at.
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, we've been going on for 1.5 hours.
Good timing. I'm getting hungry.
Are you?
A little bit.
You didn't eat so much for lunch. Welcome to our personal lives.
I mean, they're our family, right? Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it was just very nice to go through when I was preparing, going through the work, going through the stories. Actually, the website has also a very nice section. It's not about photography, it's all about text, so it doesn't really fit so well.
He
But
did talk a lot about poetry and the relationship.
Yeah, so
I
have a poem to finish the episode with, so I will read it before we sign off.
Right.
But also in the website you can find things that people said about Ernst Hass and correspondency, like letters that he got from other photographers as well. And it's quite fun to go in and read what did Ansel Adams thought of Ernst's work. And he was, for what I can gather of all the things I read, he was loved by the community and by other photographers. He was appreciated. People that were doing very different things really saw the value and the hard work that he was putting. So I think he was a beautiful contribution to the photography world, the photography art, and for all of us that come after as well. His legacy should stay on and continue inspiring generations of photographers as well.
Absolutely.
For sure.
What is that, Rothko? I don't understand what you're saying. Do you know what she's referring to?
No, I don't think so.
What is that? We'll get an explanation.
You can explain, yeah. So I'm going to read the poem that I chose because he was also a poet. He liked it, and I found this one very beautiful. It reads, I see what I think. I see what I feel because I am what I see. If there is nothing to see and I still see it, if there is something to see and everybody sees it, that's photography. So beautiful.
Indeed.
I try to do a good reading. I'm not so good at reading out loud. I'm good at reading for my brain.
I think you did a good job. Let's see. I think between CM and my aunt, we have a clue. Mark Rothko. All right. Oh, I like what I'm seeing. Let's look at this together.
All right.
So, an American abstract painter of Latvian Jewish descent. He is best known for his color painting that depicted irregular and painterly rectangular regions of color.
Nice.
Which he produced from 1949 to 1970.
I think that's something I would like.
Definitely you would like.
Oh, nice. That's how I see. So when I paint landscapes, this is how I see them in blocks of colors, actually.
Yeah, look at this one.
Yes.
This reminds me of some of the stuff you do.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen somebody's not happy with their work. These are so cool.
Yeah, very
I mean,
nice.
I understand why people would look at this and be like, "Oh, I can do this.
Everybody
A
can
5-year-old
do it,
can do this." Blah, blah, blah.
But do it. Then do it.
Yeah, I don't think everybody can do it. Like physically, yeah, it's not like this is not a triple
But
kick flip
you
or
would be surprised how
backside
difficult
ollie.
it is.
It's not a skateboarding trick, which not anybody can do physically because it takes a lot of practice. We were practicing the other day.
But once you get to paint, you realize that things that are similarly easy to make, like putting two paints next to each other or overlay, controlling the paint is harder than you might think. And in order to get specific, shadows or highlights or textures, sometimes it doesn't really work like you want it unless you really have the skill pinned down.
I always go back to the same thing when we talk about abstract or when we talk about anything creative. It's not about how difficult it is to make. It's about the decision that you took
to make
and that you decided this is what I wanted to do. This is the vision that I have.
This is what I want it to be. Yeah.
Right. And anybody, anybody who can control paint can put this on a canvas, but I don't, like, there is something to it. Like, I'm looking at it and it's beautiful, and I can't tell you why it's beautiful. We talked about the Russian constructivism. There was another artist beside Rodchenko who you're a fan of. Kandinsky. You could look at some of Kandinsky's work and be like, oh, anybody can do this, blah, 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 blah. But still, I don't,
The compositions, the color choice,
I can tell you the same thing. I can tell those people the same thing. Hey, do you like any, whatever, Drake song or whatever pop artist song? Yeah, if you show this to like a well-trained musician in like something like, I don't know, like more complicated type of music, they'd be like, yeah, this is child play. Like, you just click a few buttons and you make that song, right? But still, a lot of people love it, even though it's simple. Like, in terms of technical ability, it's simple, but there's something to emotion, and there's something to feelings, there's something to this is all right. I'm gonna use a whatever 808 Roland, but drum beat, very basic, that's it, and then put a melody on top of that Weekend song, the new one. You know which one that I'm thinking of?
I think
it sounds
I
like
don't know the title.
It sounds like that other song from the 90s. The Weeknd has a song basically copying that song, right? And everybody listens to it on radio. Oh, sorry. I was waving my hand in front of your camera. I get aggravated. Where's Tim to calm me down? But yeah, I don't know. I love this stuff.
CM says that there are some paintings of Matt Rothko's in the Moderna Museum, that they're very big.
Nice.
We should go check it out.
Yeah.
Haven't been in a museum for ages.
Yeah. Moderna, is that the one next to the Coho?
No, Moderna Museum, I think it's in the near where we took the photos the other day.
Yeah, that's the one. Cocoho.
The Kultur...
Kungliga Konst.
Yeah, Kungliga Konst, that's true.
Or Kungliga... Jag vet inte. Sorry. Yeah, this the Swedish Royal Art
School.
University.
Yeah.
There's a museum in the same island, and that's my favorite museum.
Yeah.
Skeppsholmen.
Yeah.
Thank you. CM always saves me.
Saves us.
Yeah. I'm so happy you're here every week. I don't know what would I do without you, dude.
For sure.
Right. And thank you for
the tip.
For the tip, Sham. These are super cool.
Beautiful.
We're definitely gonna go to
I want to
Moderna.
paint. Now I want to paint. That's what happens when I look at paintings.
Yeah. Or you can play with more cyanotypes.
Yeah, in the moonlight, maybe.
Yeah, so I have an idea. I have so many ideas right now, and I have to at least do one of them soon. I was thinking if I get UV lights.
Bulbs.
Yeah. Like projectors or whatever. And then I can use those to light up my subjects and use my camera for long exposure. So I can put a flower in a vase. Right? Coat up a piece of paper with cyanotype, the size of a 4x5. Load it in a film holder in the camera, and then leave it open with the projectors on a flower or whatever.
I mean, in principle, that should work, but I don't know.
We have to calculate exposure times.
Yeah, because we have to do a lot of calculations. I'm thinking reflected light.
And I'm thinking
because you have to capture reflected light.
Yeah.
And I don't know how UV reflects out of different colors of surfaces. That's just my thought.
It will work. Maybe.
I guess. I mean, if you can take a cyanotype of a scene, that means that you are capturing reflected light.
Yeah, and we've seen
We've seen that the people have done them. So, should work somehow.
Yeah, but it was a very long exposure, like 12 hours or something like that. But again, maybe it's like the sun moving in and out. I don't know. I think it's worth experimenting. And I could take a portrait of you. We can get you these goggles for this like saloon and get you 60 FPS
I'm gonna turn
sunscreen.
so brown.
put you in front of the camera for like 6 hours. Or a UV bulb in the enlarger. Yeah, that's actually another good idea, CM. If you put a UV bulb in the enlarger, and then you can make prints, basically, instead of contact prints. Or you can still make contact prints. But then you can enlarge as well. Yeah, because I was thinking about getting into platinum palladium as well.
I know that you were thinking about it after watching the large form.
I've been thinking about it before. I got excited.
It's as easy as the cyanotype, like coating and doing stuff. Is
it as easy?
I mean, they were mixing liquids and then also put it on top of the papers and then doing the exposure. So
in a UV box.
Yeah.
Which I definitely have to make as well. Oh, here's the thing. If you're thinking of making a UV box, maybe buy... Apparently, they used to sell these devices that are facial tanners, like a home tanning thingy. And it's like a thing that it has a UV bulb and reflection. Like some of them have some UV tubes.
Yeah.
In a
vertical,
Yeah, and then you just sit in front of it.
Yeah, and probably has two flaps like this, so you get on the sides as well. Yeah, I mean, nowadays the UV lamps are used for the hardening kits for manicure. So you can find that super easy and cheap. It's just that the form that it has is not very useful for the other purposes. But you could take the bulbs out, buy LED strips, put the LED strips inside a box. We saw that as well. So there are multiple solutions for that as well.
Yeah. But the thing is that these will be powerful enough out of the box.
Yeah.
Because I think they use multiple 60-watt bulbs.
How would people put their faces on front of those things?
They want to get
That's so bad. So bad.
They really want to be tanned. I mean, I don't know.
Anybody out there, use FPS, please.
But you know what? Like in a place like Sweden, like if you're somebody like us who's not born here, we're used to being in the sun.
Yeah.
And we get depressed if we don't get sun. You know, that's something, a lamp like that in the house, you turn it up like, I don't know.
I mean, you can get the natural daylight lamps by Philips.
No, but you need more vitamin D.
You mean for the vitamin D,
so apparently
for the pineal gland.
Yeah, so you need to get, I heard a expert talk about this, that if you live up like in the north, in the winter, it's recommended to get 10 minutes of solarium once every week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that will be much better than using a